Hello, everyone, members, our dear listeners. I want to thank you so much and welcome you again at the Orchard of Marriage. Those of you who have been subscribing, who like our messages and follow on us on our TikTok account, you'll find there Orchard of Marriage. Instagram, you'll find Orchard of Marriage. Facebook, you'll find Orchard of Marriage. And our main base, where you find full content, is our YouTube channel. Orchard of Marriage will be there. So this time I'm having a very wonderful message to share with us, and it doesn't need a lot of smiling. It's a challenging message. We are talking about what makes love grow cold. You can even say when our marriage grows cold. Your marriage at one time will become cold. Every marriage at one time will become cold. Every marriage at some moment it will become cold. And we want to discuss and share with us common things that make our love, our marriages become cold, and maybe how we can pick up from there when it becomes cold. Cold, we are talking of a marriage, the communication has died out, the motivation to do anything at home has died out, the sexy has died out too, interaction with each other, emotional connectivity has died out too. We are just there living as brother and sister. Our families will reach at that time. Maybe because of a lot of complications and challenges, we have reached at that time where I am just in this thing for my children. Have you had people are just in marriage for their children who are just there and they are just there? So we are talking about when a marriage becomes cold, emotionally cold and detached and disconnected. Mentally you are not there, your heart is not there. Like whatever you are doing, the motivation is not there at all. So the marriage has totally become cold. Marriage has become totally cold. I want to assure you, even when you are a believer, a strong believer, maybe wherever, I don't know whether you are a pastor, whether you're what, in whatever respective capacity you are in, you reach a time when your marriage will become cold. Reach a time when your marriage will become cold. At a time when for some reason you are disconnected with your spouse, for some reason you no longer feel your spouse, for some reason you're no longer encouraged and motivated to put in what you've been putting in. Your pace is actually very slow in whatever you are doing, and the marriage is cold. You no longer, you are somewhat detached with your friend. So their friends want to talk about what makes this marriage. Why do we reach somewhere and it becomes cold? Why do we reach somewhere and it's so cold and it goes so down? So we're discussing, we are sharing about this message, dear friends. And partly some of these things, one of the causes, the stress and the tension around your life or in your marriage. It could be coming from outside or it could be within your marriage. But there is tension and stress in what you're doing. You're not connected. You feel you have a lot of weight on you, have a lot of stretch on you. You are being stretched a lot in certain matters, in certain areas. And when you're so stressed, dear friends, your marriage is likely to get cold because the communication will die down. Where most times when we are stressed, communication is goes down. You find it hard to communicate what is even stressing you. The way you are handling it, you are not communicating. Have you ever lost a job? That's one of the moments that brings our coldness, that brings stress to us. Have you been there as a man and you don't have anything like work? Have you been there as a wife and you do not have anything like work, even at home, like you're not motivated to do anything? So what tension and stress can cause a marriage to go cold. A marriage to go cold. You must have been there. Most of us have been there for different reasons, on different factors, but we have been at a point when our marriage is at its lowest. You may not be quarreling, you may not be conflicting, you may not be exchanging, you may not be having issues with your spouse, but for some reason your relationship is cold. For some reason your marriage relationship is cold. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, and speak to us that you'll have moments when your marriage gets cold. And you want to talk about, to share with each other and say, how can we pick up ourselves when it gets cold? One, accept it is the fact that at one moment it will go cold. The challenge why I'm bringing it as a subject of as a topic of discussion is that, dear friends, some people it gets called almost on a weekly basis, and that's painful. That's painful. That's painful. You know, when a marriage gets cold almost on a weekly basis, every other time the warmth had come, but it dies out very quickly. You know, the fire had come, you are hot for each other, but it dies out shortly. So short-lived warmth and the fire is what we are talking about, and coldness now and again that comes out more often than the fire that is coming up. We're talking about this, the stress and tension is one of the issues, but also unmet expectations, dear friends. Last time we shared here a full topic on unmet expectations. You know, sometimes you pursue things with your spouse, you pursue things, and you completely see maybe your spouse is not in your same line. You are failing to be on the same line. You're failing to focus in the same on the same direction. You're focused to be handling the same things. You feel like maybe you're doing this marriage alone. So unmet expectations can be so many and divergent, you know, they can be divergent, they can be so many. But dear friends, I want to challenge us. When there are unmet expectations, then your marriage is likely to grow cold. You know, you realize all of a sudden you're doing this marriage alone, like your spouse is not in it, your spouse is not giving a hand. Maybe a lot of things that have promised have not been fulfilled. Maybe they are lies. We have spouses who lie again and again. We have spouses, you know, who are not cooperative. You know, all these things that cause unmet expectations can make your marriage go down, can make your marriage get cold, dear friends. So, dear friends, I want us to partner together, to work very hard, to be very active in this marriage, to make sure that we reduce the moments of having coldness in a marriage, of having a marriage get cold. That's the message I have for you. Unmet expectations can be a factor, can be an issue, dear friends, but also broken communication. Broken communication, for some reason, you have been working on certain things, you've been going some direction together, your relationship has been moving maybe very well, but for some reason, there is a sudden breakdown of communication. Sudden breakdown of communication. It is almost a month when you remember when did I last have a heart to heart issues conversation with my spouse. And maybe you realize it is like months back. It's not even weeks, but months back. When did I last have that, you know, emotional connectivity with my spouse? And you realize it is months back, and the communication is broken down. You're not understanding what is going on in the life of your spouse. You're not in touch. You're not in touch. You're not following up. You're not brought on board. You no longer understand how your spouse is moving his or her life. You no longer understand. Maybe last time you understand. There's some families very interesting. There's some family. This couple is very interesting. You know, this time they're in this business, and the next time they're in this business. I mean, they've tried so many businesses, and every time you think their business has picked up very well, you realize they have taken up another business, and the other one is no more. Every time you think now they're doing very well in this business, you hear they are praying for another business, they have gotten to another, they have moved on to another, and you're like, oh, guys, it drains a lot. Even when some of us have capacity to handle, but it drains your resources. You know, startup costs of any business, they are very high. They're very high. I'm an accountant, I told you. So startup costs for any business will be very high. They are not very easy. You know, any business, whether it needs rent or not, fixed assets or not, the startup cost, just the learning curve alone, the learning curve alone. And you know, every time you think these people have picked up with the learning curve in their business, you see them starting again. You see them starting another business, dear friends. So, dear friends, I want to challenge you. Some of these things will cause the communication to break down, and broken communication will cause a marriage to get cold. So I want us to handle anything that can cause our marriages to get cold, anything that can, make our marriages get cold. And broken communication is one of the factors, dear friends. And resolve the issues. Have you heard and resolve the issues, dear friends? And resolve the issues, especially when they are piled up again and again, they become too much, and you realize the marriage is getting cold. Getting cold. Because especially us men, you want to move on. You don't want to hold in the matter. The ladies will tell you it is not solved until it is solved. It is not over until it is over. And men will take very long to understand that statement. That is not over until it is over. In the morning there were big issue, maybe crash and exchange. Maybe in the morning there were conflict. In the morning maybe there were misunderstanding. In the morning you left when you are not through. But in the evening the man wants to come back when it should be over. We should be talking of something else, not what was there in the morning. And the wives are saying, we've not yet addressed it. So until we address it to detail, to conclusion, then that's when we can say it is over. But until it is up to conclusion, it is not over. So, dear friends, unresolved issues and unresolved conflicts can cause your marriage to grow cold. So I want to challenge you that we always be good on solving challenges in our home, solving issues, solving problems. We be solvers. Let us be solvers, dear friends, in whatever we are doing. Let's pay attention to what is going on in our marriages. Let's pay attention to what is going on in our families, dear friends, such that we don't have a pile of unresolved issues. I and my wife has had issues, not once, not twice, as a matter of fact. I've had issues. But most times when we come to a point of, settling our issues, you realize one, the communication had broken down. And what happened is that these issues had piled up for months back. Maybe for 5 months, maybe for 6 months, maybe for 3 months, maybe for a full month. And for you, one of you will realize when you actually the thing has totally died out. Your relationship has completely died out. And you're like, but what happened? These days I no longer understand ourselves. These days I no longer understand our marriage. And your friend, when you come to really resolve the matter, they will tell you this thing has piled up for like months back, 5 months back. They'll tell you the other time when this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. For me, it did this to me. And so it was a process of dying. It was a process of disappearing. It was a process of losing this relationship. It was a process. Every time I find a marriage that is struggling, maybe they're even thinking of parting ways. They're thinking of ways of, Emma, me these days, Papa, I eat my money. I no longer even care about the family. But what happened? Then you take them back. Can you recall when the incidences started happening like this? One of them is like take you many months back, and most likely the second one, the other one, is not aware. One of them maybe just got to know last week that they have big issues, but one of them will tell you, for me, it has been 5 months back. I just tried to keep quiet. I tried to pretend. I just work it out myself. I tried to put in my effort here. I tried to settle it myself, but it has not worked out. So by the time you come in as a third party, by the time that you are talking to Papa, everything has almost shut down. Everything has shut down. Yeah, in my life, I've worked in a hospital setup, and they will tell you, heart failure. Whatever, he died of heart failure. He died of heart failure. I mean, like a lot of things failed on the way, failed on the way, failed on the way, and finally the heart should be the last to cross down. So, dear friends, these unresolved issues will cause your heart to fail and will cause the death of the marriage. That's why I'm so much concerned that this coldness in a marriage can cause the breakdown of the marriage, can cause the death of the marriage. So I'm serious when I'm sharing this, and we have seen marriages dying out, we have seen marriages collapse. So I am sharing with us, dear friends, that we need to work on the coldness in our marriage to avoid this marriage getting cold and not allowing it to be as often as possible, because we need a live marriage, and because they cause a marriage to die. Cause a marriage to die, dear friends. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, unresolved issues, lack of respect and love. This is a topic I've shared about here, and I will continue to share about it maybe in the future. Dear friends, when the respect and love dies out, your friend takes you for granted, taking each other for granted. Dear friends, taking each other for granted, it will cause your marriage to get cold. This marriage needs a lot of innovation, needs a lot of creativity, needs a lot of life, needs a lot of fun, needs a lot of respect and appreciation. The moment there's no appreciation and respect, there's no love, there's no respect, dear friends, your marriage will grow cold. So next time when it grows cold, you need to look through this list and say, what has caused mine to get cold? What has caused mine to get cold? You hurt your friend and you continue to move your life, and you think they've also forgotten. You pinch them and you think they've forgotten, and you move on. Last time they wanted maybe to go and check on their parents. Maybe it's the wife, normally, who need a kind of permission. She wanted to go and check on her parents, and you said, no, not now. Wanted to do the not now, no, not now. All these things, they pile up, and somewhere she will collapse. Somewhere your relationship, will collapse. Your communication will collapse. Your intimacy will collapse. Will collapse, dear friends. That is what causes what causes a marriage to get cold. When it gets cold, it's what we are discussing, dear friends. Unresolved issues, lack of love and respect we are talking about. So, dear friends, let's make sure we work on these matters. We work on them ourselves. We pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the details of how we are driving our marriage, how we are living our marriage, how we are leading our marriage, how we are supporting each other, dear friends. All this, if we don't pay attention, your marriage will grow cold. You try to be as innovative and creative as possible. If you don't do this, your marriage will get cold. But what else makes our marriages, being overweighted by external factors? Sometimes you are not having a cold marriage because of internal issues, because of issues from your family, but it could be weight from outside. Your family can put a lot of pressure on you, your family where you're born from, your parents' family and your relatives. They can put a lot of pressure on you. It can be demanding pressure. It can be any other issues, maybe. Could it be land matters? Could it be what other issues? I don't know. Maybe they want you to participate in things that you are not able to participate in. There can be weight from there. There can be weight from your workplace. There can be weight from your environment, your society. Your neighbors can put you in pressure. And as an individual sometimes, not as a family, not as a couple. And you feel overweight. You feel overweighted down. So all these factors, dear friend, they can cause a marriage get cold. So not every coldness in our marriages is caused by issues from within our marriage. Some of the coldness in our marriage getting cold, can be caused by the weight that we have come with from outside. The weight we have come with from wherever we are coming from. So dear friends, we need to deal with these issues outside such that they don't come in our bedroom, they don't come in our home, they don't come in our relationship. We can manage them. And one way to manage them actually is to share them with your spouse. To share them with your spouse is one of the solutions, is one of the ways to handle these matters, dear friends, that are weighing us down. Now, weighing us down, dear friends, we share them, we share about them. But also lack of enough resources. Have you met a man who has lost his job, a man who is jobless, a man who does not have work, a family where they don't have a source of income, a family where they are not cooperating, a family where they do not have enough resources for the basic needs? It can be weight. A family that is highly indebted. It can be a lot of weight, dear friends, and it can cause a marriage getting cold. Marriage getting cold. We have had families where, you have a family where two children meet at home, or three children, when they've all been sent away for school fees, and maybe they're even coming from different schools, but they've all been sent away for some reason around the same time. They are all at home. It can be a weight on your family, dear friends. It can be a weight. It can cause a lot of challenges, dear friends. When the landlord is always knocking at your door, yesterday he came, this time he came, the other day he had come, he's sending you messages, he's giving you phone calls. He has stopped calling the man now, even calls the wife. Those landlords would do it that way. He will call the wife and call the husband. Call the wife, call the husband. Don't you know I need my money? Where is my money? I've just been merciful to you. I need my money today. A landlord has been there. We are talking of lack of enough resources for our families. It can cause a marriage go cold. A marriage where your landlord. I know families. For some reason that they were close to me, but they were sent away from a home because of rent. They had piled rent for like for more than 6 months, I think, and the landlord said, I'm not demanding, I'm not expecting anything from you. Pack your things and leave my house. Leave my house. They were sent away from the house. And maybe it has not happened to one family alone. These things have happened to us again and again. Again and again. I know another couple, a man went out and he sold their family car, and he came, the wife was asking, "Oh, you've not come with the car, what has happened? I've left it at the garage," because the debt was a lot and the challenges were a lot. The wife came to be told to know far later that the car was actually sold. That marriage will be recalled. It is hard to have a warm marriage there where, assets are being sold without the other party being aware of. The lack of enough resources. But I want to offer a solution on this, dear friends. Lack of enough resources. Sometimes we just need to find a way to live within our means. That word is not there for no good reason. It's a good English statement that we need to live within our means. So I want to challenge each one of us, dear friends. Sometimes you look at a family that is struggling so badly, you look at a family that is highly indebted, and you realize there are a lot of solutions you could give them, there are a lot of advices you could share with them, but for some reason they are stuck on their guns. They are stuck on their guns. They are stuck on their guns. Maybe they are stuck on driving a very posh car, a very high fuel consuming car. Maybe they are stuck in being a house that is very costly, and they're telling you there for reason ABC they cannot move away from this house. Maybe they are stuck on having their children in very expensive schools, and they do not understand you. When you tell them that these schools are expensive, they will tell you, that's the cheapest we can be in. You know, even when they're being sent away for school fees now and again. So lack of resources can make a marriage cold, but you know, you can find some solutions around this, dear friends. You can find a solution. Is it moving out from where you're renting to a cheaper place? Is it more, you know, driving a less costly car? Is it being in a place that is less costly? Is it, you know, taking your children in less costly schools? You need to define what is costly and what is not costly, and should come from you. Should not come from an outsider. He cannot define for you which school is a costly and which school is not costly. You should be able to look at the incomes of your family, and then you are able to know this one I can take my children, I can pay for them tuition without taking loans. You know, it's about that. Rescheduling your debts, your loans, whatever. Managing the enough, the what we call the lack of enough resources. Dear friends, lack of enough resources will cause a strain on your marriage, will make your marriage grow cold, and I want to challenge you, we need to work on it. As a matter of fact, I believe most of the marriages that grow cold, there are not many reasons. Either your family is having a strain on the resources, having a strain on the resources, you know, unresolved issues, all these matters that we're talking about, but also, you know, suspected infidelity, whether real or not real, dear friends. The moment your marriage has suspicion about infidelity, one of you suspects the other to be in infidelity, to be involved in extramarital relationships, to be sleeping around with some other women, with some other men, I want to tell you, it is enough to make your marriage grow cold. Infidelity, sex outside your marriage. Oh my God, you just don't want it to be close to your family, to be close to your marriage. The moment you're being suspected in your marriage, sometimes not there, but for some reason, when it's suspected, you'll take a lot of effort. It will take you a lot of effort to settle that matter, to put your spouse at peace, and you know, I mean, when it is there, you cannot have a peaceful marriage. You cannot, dear friends. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, that we need to work out around this to make sure there is no suspected infidelity. There's no suspected, you know, sexual relationships outside your marriage. You know, these things of being on phone and you have patterns and patterns, passwords and passwords. You're hiding everything on your phone. Every app on your phone has a password. Dear friends, why? Why should you live a slave like that? That's slavery. That's slavery to yourself, dear friends. Don't. You don't need to reach that far. And I want to assure you, every marriage that I'm talking to and it's password after password, there's something you're hiding, maybe. Maybe there's something you're hiding. I can't be quiet to speak that. I can't hide it. There must be something you're hiding. So infidelity, whether real or suspected, dear friends, you need to deal with it to make sure that you know it is not around your corners in your marriage. The moment comes close to you, then you will have a lot of struggle in your marriage. You know, emotional burnout. Have you had emotional burnout? Maybe stress from here and the other side, here and the other side, and you're emotionally stressed, you are emotionally challenged, emotionally you can no longer handle what you could handle before. Emotionally you can no longer handle the situation that's before you. So, dear friends, it's at times it's about provision. When you there's one, you know, one who is making provision, yet the other one is also earning, but for some reason you are not making provision to your family together. You are not supporting each other, dear friends. You're not standing with each other. You're not encouraging each other. You are not emotionally attached to each other. That emotional burnout. Emotional burnout. Right now, you know, we are the festive season, but I want to tell you, dear friends, you can be emotionally burnt out. You can be emotionally burnt out. When you don't find solutions and talk about these matters as a family, as a couple, you don't come on the round table and you're discussing issues, you're finding solutions, you're making a plan for the festive season. You know, this is what we are going to do on this date, we shall do this, we shall do this, we shall attend this function, this one will not attend, we'll attend this one will not attend, we'll go here, here will not go. This what you know, you need to plan about these things, dear friends. And that's some of the things that cause emotional burnout. These are some of the things that you're not planning together. You're not focusing on the same thing. You're not in the same direction. This one wants this, the other wants this. You know, unexpected issues. Dear friends, emotional burnout is real. As a matter of fact, I think this one connects with the, you know, there's a common message around here, you know, that mental health is real. Mental health has come so close to us. We have mental issues, most of us. Even when we are seeing heresy, even when we are seeing okay, and you know, we are in our families, we are in our marriages, and things seem to be moving. But I want to tell you, dear friends, emotional burnout, you know, mental heresy is real. People are in mental facilities, rehabilitation facilities. You know, people you could not expect. but they are in rehabilitation facilities, dear friends. So I want to challenge you. Mental health is real. We need to deal with it. We need to deal with it. And it can cause a coldness in your marriage. It's a factor that can make your marriage cold. And but it can make your marriage die out. Die out. Why? Partly we are not communicating with each other. Partly we are pursuing things that are endless. We are in deal after deal, and we have lost resources here, lost resources there. We feel we have done everything in our marriage, but and the other one is not putting in equally enough, and you burn out. You burn out, dear friends. So yeah, emotional burnout is a real thing. But also being familiar with each other, familiarity. I think I'd mentioned something about this. Routine and familiarity. When your marriage becomes a lot of routine and familiarity with each other, it also causes a disconnect. Causes a disconnect, I can tell you, dear friends. For some reason, you realize for some time you are alone and he is alone. She is alone, you are alone. You are no longer caring and minding about the business of the other. You're in a marriage and each one is minding about their own businesses, you lose your marriage. You lose your marriage, I want to tell you, dear friends, where you're in a marriage where each one bothers about themselves, minds about themselves, you lose your marriage, dear friends. He's in their business, you call it his business, my husband's business, my wife's business. Sometimes those statements, they mean much more than you hear on the brain, on the surface. So routine and familiarity, in the bed you sleep in the same positions every other time. The other game you do it the same way, sex you do it the same way every time. Whatever. It's routine. Routine has become too much. The food you eat at home has become so much routine. It's maybe portion beans, it's this and this is the same menu all through, same menu in the bed, same menu in the sitting room all through. Your house, nothing has changed. Your home, nothing has changed. The environment is always the same. Dear friends, that routine also tires. That routine also drains, and it can cause a coldness in a marriage. You may not have exchanged with your spouse, you may not have fought at all, you may not have conflicted at all, but routine. That's why I would challenge you, the dear spouse. Once in a while, come with a gift for your spouse. Once in a while, come with something to support your spouse. Once in a while, come with a hunk and buy it for your spouse. Once in a while, buy some. Come with some gift for your spouse to show that you're mindful about them. Come with a Rolex. I know some spouses, some many people who like a Rolex. Come with a Rolex this time. Come with a pizza one of these days at home. Those are the things they help to break the boredom, to break the routine we are talking about. Come with a pizza if you can afford it. Come with a Rolex if you cannot afford the pizza. Come with a KFC or Cafe Javas, chicken if you can afford. If you cannot afford, buy it by the roadside and come with a chicken, a roasted chicken at home. Not all of us can afford KFC, but maybe some of us we can afford, a chicken alongside the road for 5K, a piece for 5K. So, dear friends, I want to challenge us. Let us try as much as possible to break the boredom. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, the divorce has come to marriage, the separation has come to marriage because you became too bored a lot. You lost your mind, you lost your emotions, you became too detached for some good time, and finally, you are even thinking of parting ways. I even think of parting ways. People have actually gone for extramarital relationships. They have gone they've fallen for infidelity just because the routine at home has become too much. There's no fun, even there's no more fun, there's no more enthusiasm at home. We are no longer, emotionally attached to each other. And people have gone, to fall for infidelity outside, for extramarital relationship. It started, and where we work from, or where we spend our day from, or where we are dear friends, you'll find people who are concerned about you, are emotionally attached to you, who want to show concern to you, want to find about what is happening around you, around your family, around your marriage, and you find that you are fallen for them. As a matter of fact, infidelity is not as hard as some people think. Extramarital relationship, falling for another person outside, another man outside, another woman outside, is not as hard as some of you think. You may condemn those who are fallen there, but I want to challenge you, it is not so hard. It's not hard a topic. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, that let us be, when the innovation and creativity fails in your marriage and is no longer working, then you'll find a lot of trouble in your marriage. It causes coldness in your marriage. Don't take each other for granted. I want to challenge you, dear friends. social media and public influence. Our marriage is getting cold because sometimes we are pursuing a lot that is outside in the social media and we are not seeing it implemented in our marriages. We are not seeing it in our homes just because we are consumed by the social media work, consumed by the social media, posts and messages and information and lifestyle there. And maybe we continue thinking we can have this at home. I mean, we live by pomp. That's English word also. We live by pomp. There's a lot of pomp that we are pursuing. There's a lot of pomp and idealistic things, things that are just the best needed, but they are not easily practical. They're not easily practical, dear friends. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, don't control yourself concerning the social media. I've told you myself, you cannot tell how many messages I listen to almost on a daily basis. Google with YouTube was telling me how many videos I have listened to. I have watched it over a year, and I was like, wow, this is a lot. But that's me. But I'm very sensitive. I'm very careful what I choose to listen to watch and what I don't watch. I am very mindful and very careful what I watch and what I don't watch. So I want to challenge us, dear friends, let us be careful. The social media, the attention we are giving to social media and the public influence outside there. Let us not be influenced badly. Some things can show you that like your spouse does not qualify, does not measure up to a good husband or to a good wife just because of what you have watched outside of what you've been following up. And those things are very funny. You are on TikTok all the time, and every marriage you are watching on TikTok, it is a failed marriage. It is a marriage that has divorced. It is a broken down. It's about single mothers, single fathers, single, broken, and looks like there's no hope for keeping your marriage right. I want to challenge you, dear friend. Let us not sell our soul. Let us not sell our soul to things that will not work out, to things that have failed here and there. Let us sell out our soul to things that are workable and they can work out for us. So that is it, dear friends. But how do we go about this, dear friends? When our marriage gets cold, I want to challenge you. Of course, there are many factors that I have not even mentioned. You know your marriage better. You can always find out there's a reason why your marriage has gotten cold. There's a reason why your marriage is not working out. There's a reason why it is not, coming out the way you would want it to come out. So I want to challenge us. The first thing is to pray. Pray about these things, dear friends. Come together and pray as a family. Come together and pray as a couple. It has helped me. Of late, I wake up to prayer with my wife. She wakes up. Sometimes I just wake up and she's also woken up. When she wakes up, also wake up. We pray, praying in the morning, we pray in the evening, we pray with our children. Prayer solves a lot. I can never tell you the power that is in prayer enough. Just recently, this week, there's something I saw happening out of prayer. I saw happening out of the working of God. I was like, God, you have no limit. Our God has no limit. Dear friends, I want to challenge you. Prayer works. It moves mountains like in real sense. It has worked in our marriages in the way that you could never dare. A spouse had never thought you had vowed not to talk to you again, vowed not to come close to you again, vowed not to offer sex to you again. For some reason, out of prayer and seeking God, it works out and you see it live and you're like, God, you are so good. He's a great God, your friends. So I wish I could tell you it is prayer. Like they asked Billy Graham very many years back, they asked, what makes your crusade so great? What has made your life change so much? A lot around you. What is that? What is that one thing you can tell us? And he actually asked what are three things. And he said one is prayer, second is prayer, third is prayer. So I want to tell you, dear friends, that we need to be in prayer. But also, I want to ask you to keep watching the details in your marriage. Pay attention to details in your marriage. Pay attention to what is happening one after the other, one after the other. Be able to tell a story in the past 1 month. How can you describe your marriage? Yes, you need to reach there. In the past 2, 3, 4 months, can you describe your marriage, the journey it has gone through in the past 3 months? Tell us. At this time, this happened, it was like this, was it. Emotionally. The emotional journey with your spouse. Can you be able to elaborate to us, to explain to some of us who are outside, to some of us who are talking to you, how has your marriage been in the past 3, 4 months? Some of you will tell me immediately, Emma Zanabivako. Emma, I left that completely. Emma, I am no longer there. Emma, I left that life. Emma, don't tell me about marriage. I cannot tell you. No, that is a cold marriage. That is a broken relationship. Dear friends, If you're in charge, you should be able to test whether you are in this or not. You should be able to tell a story of how your marriage has been progressing in the past like 3, 4 months, in the past 1 year. What about since you married up to where you are now? Can you elaborate, explain the journey that you have walked as a couple? What about as an individual in a marriage? Are you able to tell what things have died out on your side and what things have risen in your side? A lot of something they need to die out completely in your marriage, and something in yourself, and something need to come up live. When we come with a lot of expectations, we come with a lot of behaviors, we come with a lot of focuses and challenges. But when you come, a marriage should change you somehow. If your marriage has never changed you in any way, there are no behaviors, your marriage changed, there are no characters, your marriage changed, there are no focuses, your marriage changed, then maybe you have not given it enough attention. Maybe you are still single in a marriage. If you are a good husband, a good wife, I should ask you, tell me the 5 things that have died out in yourself just because you were married. Things that your marriage changed about you. Tell me first 5 things that your marriage changed about you over this journey. Each of us should be able to generate that list very fast. I used to like this, not anymore. I used to fall for this, not anymore. I used to pursue this, not anymore. I used to run for this, not anymore. I used to believe this works like this and this. I realized I was wrong. There must be a lot of things that marriage proved wrong about you. Some beliefs you had, and marriage has had to prove to you that you had wrong beliefs or wrong values, as a matter of fact. So you need to work on the details of your marriage, dear friends. You need to keep creativity and innovative, like I've told you. Be creative and innovative. Have fun in your marriage. Have fun in your marriage. Be able to be strategic in your planning. Maybe you're moving this direction. It's time to come back to your spouse and say, I am sorry, we had planned to go this, but it seems this works out like this and this and this and this. We need to take this direction. Let's communicate about these things, dear friends. Let's talk about them. Let's be mindful about them, dear friends. Yes, let's be innovative and creative. Create a lot of fun. You don't want a marriage where it is about strategic plans every day, now and again. It's about, we're planning this budget, this way, it's about this, anything and a plan we cannot do. We also have we need some informal kind of life in our marriages. And we need some private in our marriages, dear friends. So you need to be able to have some, to have some fun in your marriage, dear friends. And you need to have some privacy in your marriage, dear friends. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, where your privacy is being infringed on a lot and too much, you realize that marriage will get cold also. A marriage relationship will get cold also. Like you have no privacy anymore. Even when you are strong believers in God, you are strong believers in the Lord Jesus. Because I want to tell you, dear friends, even when you have oneness at 100%, there is some level of privacy that is required in your marriage. You don't have to follow up your marriage on every single detail. I mean, your family, your spouse, on every single detail you want to know. That's why people are struggling over phone. They are having war over phone because they want to pursue everything and they want to pick everything. Yes, dear friends, I want to challenge you. Have a purpose, be purposeful, dear friends. Belong to a fellowship or belong to a cell together, dear friends. And as much as possible, have those fellowships, have those cells where you go to with your spouse. When you go to with your spouse, dear friends, I want to challenge you that you need a fellowship or a cell. One, you go to church together, want to believe, you go to church together. But secondly, you go to a cell or to a fellowship together. There are those you can go separately. Maybe they're only for women, maybe they're only for men. But you need to have a fellowship where you go together, dear friends. Some people, this one is so hard to do, but I want to challenge you, pray about it, work on it, and make sure at some point you have a fellowship where you are going together as a couple. Yes, where you are seen as a couple. Some of these things even build intimacy, but some people do not know that they help to build intimacy, dear friends. Plan things emotionally together. You want to request to your friends, prioritize things together, prioritize this intimacy, prioritize, having this, making love together, dear friends. Let it not be away from you. Let it not be away from you. And do it for your good. Do it, to bring life in your marriage. Do it to bring life in your marriage. Do it to bring activity in your marriage, dear friends. To bring warmth in your marriage, dear friends. Having this intimacy together will help you, dear friends, to build this relationship and to make sure that your marriage does not get cold. Prioritize sex in your marriage, dear friends. I want to challenge you, dear friends, that whatever you're doing, you need to prioritize this making love together. As a family, as a couple, dear friends, it needs to be deep in your marriage. It needs to be deep in you. Yes. The moment you know sex is far from you, dear friends, it is hard to have a strong marriage. It is hard to have a strong marriage relationship. Your marriage will grow very cold. You're taking a month without sleeping, without, having this game together. You are taking weeks without having this game together. Your marriage will get cold, definitely. So to get it live, back on loud track, dear friends, bring it back. Bring this game back. Let it be weekly. Don't take a week without it. You know, Gogo and many authors, they will tell you twice a week is good. Twice in a week is the minimum to start from. If you're doing it less than twice a week, dear friends, you are below the average. You are below the minimum. So you need to do it, make sure at least twice when you are able to stay together. So I want to challenge you and to help you to take away the coldness, to bring fire in a marriage, dear friends, to bring fire in a marriage. Don't downplay the problems. Any problem, any issues in your marriage, stop downplaying them. They will cause you a lot of issues, dear friend. Do not downplay anything. Sometimes your spouse is dying with something and you are laughing at it. You're like, but is that an issue also? Is that an issue also? As long as you accept your marriage, your wife or your husband, dear friends, I want to challenge you. Every problem should matter. Whatever they call a problem should be a problem to you. Whatever they call an issue should be an issue to you. Find a way to handle it. Find a way to handle it. As long as it is affecting them, it is disturbing them, it is causing them trouble, dear friends. Every problem of your husband should be your problem, dear wife. Every problem of your wife should be a problem of you, dear husband. Every challenge of your spouse should be a challenge to you. I mean, you must give it attention. You cannot just overlook it. You cannot just downplay it. You cannot just cast it to the other side. You cannot just walk over it. No. When your spouse, when your husband is hurting, dear wife, you should also be hurting. Dear wife, when your wife is when your spouse, you should be hurting when your spouse is hurting. That's the whole point. That's the whole instance here, friends. If your spouse is hurting and you're not hurting, I want to tell you, it's just a matter of time and your marriage will die out. It's a matter of time and your marriage will get cold, and from getting cold, it will break. There will be separation. Whatever is an issue to your spouse, you need to pay attention to it. You find a way to pay attention to it. Find a way to manage it, dear friends. But also, I want to tell you, dear friends, I want to ask you, once in a while, find the time to ask each other some hard questions. There's some life questions, and unfortunately, the world will ask you, but you fear to talk about these things with your spouse. Find a way to ask the hard questions. Find a way to ask hard questions. What do you like about me? What don't you like about me? What ways or what characters in me that you do not like? What would you want me to change within me? What would you want to change about our marriage? Those are some of the hard questions that you need to ask. Find the time to talk about these things, the things with your friends. So ask the hard questions. The more you are not able to ask the hard questions and you just want to see your marriage moving in any way, the more problems and trouble you'll get in your marriage, the more it gets cold and the more it will break down. You'll find a separation. Ask those hard questions. What would you want me to change? What would you want to change in our marriage? What goals would you want to have or would you want us to have for this year? Where would you want us to see to be in 10 years from now? Those are some of the hard questions you need to ask each other. Give them time, give them attention, and I want to tell you, dear friends, you'll make it in life and you'll find yourself, making it in this life. I want to challenge you. Have time to discuss about your day. How was the program of your day? How has it been achieved? What has transpired in your life for a day? You need to find out what is transpiring in your marriage for a day or outside there. Be mindful when you meet at home, dear friend. Most of us, we come late in the evening and we're meeting together. Talk about your day. Talk about your week, dear friends. Talk about how life is happening. Life is better together. My church has that slogan that life is better together. So I want to challenge you, dear friends, that life should be, life is better together. Talk about life. Talk about what is happening. Don't die alone. Don't die alone in your marriage, dear friends. Don't die alone. As a matter of fact, these issues today, we even have cancer. When you talk about these big illnesses that have affected our community, our society, like cancer, like diabetes, like ulcers, most of these diseases, they are also behavioral diseases. They have come in some instances, they have come from our behaviors. And I'm talking to you saying that some of these challenges or marriages that we have kept not talking about, not asking these hard questions, not having a platform in our marriage where we can discuss about them, they cause heart issues. They are causes of hypertension. They are influencers. They contribute to the challenges of hypertension that we have. They cause hypertension, diabetes. Some of these they are behavioral issues, behavioral sicknesses, dear friends. So I want to challenge lifestyle issues. We need to talk about this. Hmm? Maybe you have a spouse. This is sensitive, but allow me to talk about this. Maybe you have a spouse who is overweight. But for some reason, they still eat anything and everything. They don't make any sorting in their lives. Ask a hard question. What do you consider to be healthy foods in your life? What do you consider to be healthy foods in your life? Oh, maybe my wife should also be able to ask me because my size is not as big, maybe as expected. If it has health issues and complications, she should be able to ask me, what do you consider to be healthy foods in your life? How often do you eat these healthy foods that you consider to be healthy? We need to discuss about that. If there's a contention, we need to search and ask about, how healthy is this kind of food? Today, there's a lot of information outside, dear friends. So we need to discuss about that day. We need to ask about these hard questions. We need to be mindful about the lifestyle that is happening in our marriage, dear friends. And we be concerned about each other. We pay attention about the challenges we go through. We rejoice together, but we also, even in painful moments, we need to come together and discuss together. Yes, find a time in your marriage when we can discuss about the real issues of life, dear friends. It can be discussed in a fun way. It can be discussed in a strongly, highly attention-seeking way. But we need to find out about these matters. We need to find about them, dear friends. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we have shared about this. That I am believing that I started with prayer, dear friends. I started about giving ourselves to God. The moment we do this, we want to make sure there are no moments of coldness in our marriages, coldness in our lifestyles, coldness in whatever we are doing. We want to have a vibrant marriage, a lively marriage. A marriage that is so active, a marriage that is embracing, a marriage that is, bringing us life. And this life, we do not get it in a marriage, but we bring it in a marriage. You need to remember that statement that, we don't come to marriage to get joy, but we come to marriage to bring joy there. We come in marriage to bring joy, bring happiness, bring gladness, bring all these good fruits of kindness, care. We need to bring hope, to bring faith into the marriage. We do not come to just expect. We come to bring them in. And when you come with that purpose, not to bring them in, and your spouse comes to bring them in, I want to tell you, our marriages will be so joyous, will be so great, and will be a blessing to us, even to our children, dear friends. Thank you so much, dear friends. Remember, the topic has been when your marriage gets cold, and we have discussed on how we can pick it up. Nice time. May the good Lord bless you. See you next time. Bye bye.